Does chocolate help improve brain functioning? It would be great if we had an excuse to eat this sweet treat more often, but is there any scientific evidence to prove this claim? We checked with current research to find out.
Alright, high-fat, high-sugar foods like chocolate are thought to impact the neurotransmitters dopamine and serotonin, as well as a group of neuromodulators called endogenous opioid peptides. Dopamine provides the reward for eating food, so dopamine levels will be increased by consuming chocolate. However, dopamine levels will not likely increase more than other foods. Serotonin helps regulate carbohydrate consumption in concert with the amino acid tryptophan, so serotonin levels should increase in response to sweet foods such as chocolate. However, tryptophan is masked by other amino acids when protein accounts for more than 2% of a food's calories. In chocolate, protein accounts for 5%. Endogenous opioid peptides are released by the body in response to taste, texture, and smell of foods as part of the reward system for eating. Unlike dopamine, opioid release is impacted by the specific taste of food and will be increased more by high sugar, high fat foods like chocolate.
Dark chocolate's main ingredient is cacao. One class of phytochemicals present in huge amounts in cacao are methylxanthines. Methylxanthines may affect signaling pathways that enable neurons to overcome dysfunction and degeneration. Habitual intake of methylxanthines in humans is associated with a reduced risk of stroke, depression, and suicide. One methylxanthine is caffeine, which has a big effect on neural network activity. Caffeine promotes sustained cognitive performance and can protect neurons against dysfunction, which may include Alzheimer's disease and Parkinson's disease.
There was an experiment conducted by Efrain Santiago Rodriguez, Brenda Estrada Zaldivar, and Elba Zaldivar Uribe on a number of individuals to analyze the effects of chocolate, specifically dark chocolate, on cognitive brain performance. This is conducted in a short case study manner in which the effects of chocolate on individuals was analyzed using an EEG on the specific locations and was conducted over an 8-day period. This journal article goes into an experiment regarding dark chocolate, rich in flavonoids, and cognitive brain performance. This experiment was carried out using a control group, and the effects of dark chocolate were studied by looking at the absolute power produced in specific regions of the brain. This study concluded that there was a decrease in the delta and theta absolute power and an increase in alpha and beta absolute power in most brain regions, meaning the regions of the brain responsible for mental activity and cognitive performance were at an increased state. These two graphs show the increase in absolute power in the alpha and beta regions of the brain. This first graph shows the two control groups of the alpha and beta, and the alpha and beta went under the effects of dark chocolate. The baseline shows the original absolute power produced by the brain prior to chocolate intake, and the first point shows the acute post-intake absolute power, which is 30 minutes after the intake of dark chocolate. 8 days were taken in between the second data point, in which prior to more chocolate intake, the absolute power of the brain was monitored again. As you can see, it increased to the original baseline, but decreased a small amount to the acute post-intake point. On day 8, after the intake, the levels were measured again and showed a drastic increase from all of the different data points. On the second graph, we see a much more drastic effect. The baseline in the same place at 100%, and the control for alpha and beta showing a decrease to about 90% on the acute post-intake. But when dark chocolate is exposed to the patients, after the 30 minutes to the first data point, you can see that the absolute power of the brain increased drastically. Prior to more chocolate intake on day 8, the absolute power increased yet again, and after the intake it increased again, showing a rather unanimous slope from the baseline to day 8 post-intake. As is shown in this experiment, there is a drastic effect on the alpha and beta, as well as the theta and delta regions of the brain and the waves that they produce, and it shows an increase in mental activity and cognitive performance as a result of dark chocolate intake.
And there you have it. Chocolate does affect brain function, and in a positive way. If you are looking to boost your brain's performance, you can up your caffeine levels, opioid levels, as well as beta and theta brainwaves by adding some chocolate to your diet today.